This is Grow Omaha Uncut, where you can watch our radio show, including what goes on in the commercial breaks. And be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons.
Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Cheer Athletics, the nation's #1 all-star cheer gym. Congratulations, because you have stumbled upon the only show in the metro area that talks about real estate development, construction, economic development, really anything related to Omaha becoming bigger, more vibrant, and more prosperous. Before we go any further, though, it's time to bring on my co-host, a man who is the legendary real estate deal maker from NAI, NP Dodge, Trenton Magid.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Jeff.
Well, good morning, Trenton. This is a fun morning because we have breakfast here today.
It's not every day that some fine restaurant brings us some delectables.
Yeah, so we want to thank TJ Isaacs and his wife Jill. They are the owners of Everbowl. That is a new restaurant that opened southeast of 168th and Center. And tell us, Trenton, what's an Everbowl?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's my neighborhood, so I should cut down on the crumble cookies next door and have a more healthy acai bowl. And I had the PB bowl, and it was delicious. So check out Everbowl. It's right by Clancy's, 168th and West Center Road. A healthier alternative. It's pretty much a meal replacement is the way I would describe it. And this beautiful man here, TJ Isaacs, is in the house. And so if you go to the store, you might see him there, or his wife Jill.
And Everbowl plans to eventually have 3 stores in the Omaha area and a couple in Lincoln as well. And speaking of restaurants, we have one of our Grow Omaha Eats restaurant reviews written by our food critic, Chris Corey. It's brought to you by All Makes. All Makes is the famous office furniture and technology store in downtown Omaha, also locations in Lincoln, Des Moines, Iowa, and several other regional towns. At any rate, this week for Grow Omaha Eats, Chris Corey evaluated Twisted Cork Bistro, a very nice restaurant in the Regency Landing area, which is by Interstate 680 and Pacific Street. If you want to read it, and we encourage you do, simply go to growomaha.com, click on reviews on the navigation bar, and then there you'll have a choice between eats and flicks. Flicks are movies, eats are restaurants. Pretty easy to figure out, and you'll enjoy reading about Twisted Cork Bistro. All right, Trenton, are we ready for the news of the week?
Absolutely.
Well, it's brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. They are a mortgage broker, meaning they shop the market for their clients. If you are thinking about getting a new house, you're probably going to get a loan. Talk to Eagle Mortgage. One of the first things you have to do, Holly Schneidewin and her team there are very customer service oriented. They'll sit down with you and figure out which loan makes the most sense for you, and then they shop the market. They're not beholden to one bank, and they're not beholden to 5 banks. They have a lot of banks, and they'll find the best option for you to get the best loan you can. Eagle Mortgage is located at 114th and Davenport. That's just a couple few blocks south of Dodge, or you can find out more about them and start the process by going to eaglemortgagecompany.com. Well, Trenton, yesterday we had the annual State of the City address at City Hall. Mayor Stothert does this every year, presents it to the City Council, and then probably had about a couple hundred people there on site as well. And the State of the City address talks about a lot of things. It's basically the city version of the State of the Union. And since this show is about growth and development, I plucked out a few parts of the address related to growth and development. So we won't get in, it also talks about community safety and all sorts of other issues as well. But in terms of growth and development, a couple things that jumped out as significant to me. She talked about the flagship library at 72nd and Dodge is on target to open.
That's iconic.
Yeah, it's on target to open 1 year from next month. And also talked about CHI Convention Center expansion on the east side really is coming along nicely and is on schedule. That's a big, big project. But get a load of this. In 2024, Omaha had 19,000 building permits totaling $1.5 billion.
Is that a record?
I don't know. She didn't say. My guess is if it was a record, she probably would have said that in her remarks. Tax increment financing, very important economic development tool for keeping the core of the city strong. TIF is designed to encourage development in the city as opposed to continually knocking over cornfields, which creates more traffic jams. So if we look at TIF, since 2015, so we'll call it 9 years because these are 2024 numbers. Since 2015, Omaha has approved 196 TIF applications for $584 million. That has led to $4.5 billion of new investment in the city of Omaha instead of the suburbs.
And I spent 5 years on the planning board, and it was an important tool then, and it's an important tool now. And cities that don't have tax increment financing opportunities, they fall behind. And this isn't given to every applicant, and this is meant to improve areas that otherwise, but for tax increment financing, the project wouldn't happen.
And the address also looked into affordable housing, which is becoming a bigger and bigger issue as Omaha's real estate becomes so much more valuable. The city has sold 50 city-owned lots, many for just $1, allowing emerging developers to build affordable housing. Mayor Stothard also mentioned in the State of the City address there will be 41 street resurfacing projects this year, which will be like full resurfacing, not just pothole replacement or anything like that. And then finally, the last one that really jumped out at me as relevant for Grow Omaha. 2 weeks from now, we will break ground on the community center at Levi Carter Park by Carter Lake by Eppley Airfield. This huge complex will include basketball, volleyball, a wrestling room, weight room, computer labs, community meeting space, and several outdoor athletic fields as well. Now, in other news, we had a very, very big thing drop into our laps this week, and that is U.S. News and World Report ranked Omaha for the first time ever as the hottest housing market in the United States of America.
Defined as
just so much activity. The houses being sold, apartments being rented, houses and apartments being built. It talked about rent increases and price increases. Some people say, oh, we don't like to see that. Well, you kind of do because it actually is a sign of a city's economic health. It kind of stinks if you're a tenant, and it's one of the reasons why we're having to work on some affordable housing stuff. But a healthy city has a healthy, steady, rising rate of real estate value. And, of course, homeowners like that because their household wealth goes up as their value of their houses increase.
And also, in migrants that come to Omaha, people that are looking to buy in Omaha, generally we're a very affordable city when it comes to buying houses and selling elsewhere.
So the hottest markets, according to U.S. News and World Report, Omaha rated number one actually by a pretty sizable margin over number two, which is a small town you may have heard of, Austin, Texas. And then it was followed by Houston, Texas, Charleston, South Carolina, Denver, St. Louis, believe it or not, came in at number 6. They're having a bit of a renaissance after being down for a while. Again, this is growth, and they were kind of due for this. In fact, I'm going to mention one in a little bit that will surprise you even more than St. Louis. But St. Louis was followed by Columbia, South Carolina, a tie for number 8 between Greeley, Colorado, and Greenville, South Carolina. Number 9 was San Antonio, and 10, which is technically 11 because there was an number 8 tie, Detroit, Michigan. But again, it was so struggling, and they've worked so hard to bring it back.
Rocket Mortgage.
That it has made it one of the housing top 10
having
housing
Omaha
markets.
top the list by a wide margin is definitely turning heads in the industry. That is a very impressive feat, and a lot of it has to do with the diversity of everything we do here, as far as the economy, the jobs growth, the stakeholders that invest, the people selfishly give money. Or unselfishly give money. Yeah.
That seems like a bit of an oxymoron there, my friend.
$300-400 million riverfront park, there's 4 or 5 families that each put in $50 million from foundations and personally and things like that. So what a great time to be in Omaha. What a great time to have a show called Grow Omaha.
Quick statistic that article mentioned that really jumped out at me, and I had not seen this before, but in the 12-month period ending just this past December, the Omaha metro area gained more than 12,000 non-farm jobs for a growth rate of 2.4%. Let that sink in for a little bit. Our entire population growth from July of 23 to July of 24 was 12,000 people, which was a very healthy population growth rate. Probably put us in the top 1/3 of the top 100 metro areas for fast growth. We actually had more jobs created than we had humans that came here. A 2.4% job increase in 1 year in a northern city like this is frankly epic. So what it tells us is more growth is to come. That's good. That's exciting. That's what we love. We're called Grow Omaha, as Trenton pointed out a minute ago, but we have to work very hard to keep increasing housing, and we have to work really hard to get more and more people in the city so that we can manage our growth efficiently. And that's going to relate really well to the interview topic we have coming up here in a moment. But Trenton, before we wrap up the news, I just want to throw in one little quick short story that you'll find exciting and interesting. The Mutual of Omaha Tower, the skyscraper downtown, which we've been following very closely throughout its construction. Glass panels started going on the outside of the tower just this week. That's a sign that things are moving.
No question about it, and you really get a feel for it. It looks like they're kind of putting on a section almost to make sure it's going to have the look that they thought it would have.
Make sure it sticks?
Yeah, make sure it sticks. They use the right rubber cement or whatever they use to put glass on towers.
I hope that's some pretty powerful rubber cement. But with that, we're going to wrap up our development news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. When we come back, we're going to bring on Scott Dobbe. Scott is the executive director of Omaha by Design, and we're going to talk about what's happening in the urban core, what needs to happen. We are attracting people and jobs here fast, and so we need to be really efficient with the way we use and populate our urban core, because everything in the city emanates from the center, even for those of us like me who live at 180th and Q. So stick with us. This is going to be a fascinating conversation that you don't want to miss. You're listening to Jeff and Trenton on Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
All right. Well, TJ, thank you so much. Appreciate it. It was very nice of you to come out.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Good. Please spread the word, okay?
Thank your wife for us.
I will.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet you in person.
You'll be able to listen to the podcast and see the video and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, that's all.
Yeah.
And you can link it to whatever you want with it.
Perfect. Have a good one, guys. Yep.
Good start, guys. You guys are pros.
No, thank you. Mine. Okay.
I'm pro adjacent.
Pro adjacent. Yeah, well, you know, it's who you hang out with.
We're pro-touched.
Good. Yeah, I'm paying attention to the weather forecast. You know, I'm ready to go. Hopefully 2 baseball practices right after this. So
maybe
coaching
not.
my kiddos teams, but we'll see. So
How
You
old?
got 2?
we got 4 kids.
We have 2
3
practices
boys,
today?
2 practices. So
How old are the baseball
my
players?
9-year-old has his first, and he's at 10. And then at noon, we just transition right over to the twins. The twins are 6. So
That's some cute looking baseball.
Oh, it's
there.
fun.
Yeah,
It's
you
fun.
got to be patient though.
We
just
have money
assistant
today.
coaching this year.
They take that seriously. I mean, at what age is it where like the strategy kicks in and all that?
Oh, it starts to get there quick. I mean, my 9-year-old is already kind of in that space
Did you play baseball or?
I played, Little League way back in the day. It's just so different.
Are you from around here?
I'm from Kearney.
Kearney.
originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've been in town a decade.
Where's your
I
wife
guess.
from?
She's from Kansas originally. Went to high school in Lincoln.
Oh, okay. So you guys are both Nebraska
Yeah,
kids.
totally.
Yeah.
And that's why we kind of largely came back. We're some of those boomerangs. Was out of state for about a decade.
Where'd you live again?
I did grad school at Ohio State, Masters of Architecture there, and then we worked in Chicago, living and working downtown for
That'd be kind of
7
fun for a
years.
while.
It was great. It was great,
Yeah.
especially no kids.
Yeah, good no kid experience.
How'd you decide to take on this role?
I think It took some deep thought because I was private sector and I was loving what I was doing. I was sports architecture, building stadiums.
Oh, really?
Leading teams over there. In fact, when I went to Austin, I visited 2 of the projects that I built, like additions to their UT's Longhorns baseball stadium.
Yeah, that's cool.
Who'd
you work for then?
It was DLR Group.
Okay.
Dana Larson Noble. But I think the thing was I was traveling so much, and 2 kids at home. My wife's pregnant with twins. I'm like, I want to be investing my time in this city. I want to be like working on stuff here.
Yeah.
Hell of a lot easier.
And be around your kids and your wife.
Around your kids, exactly.
Because I have one in college and one who's a junior in high school, and like everyone told me, they grow up really fast. They grow up really fast.
I'm feeling it. We just registered
Really
for middle
freaking
school.
fast.
Like right now they're all in elementary school. Our oldest is 6th grade, but it's gonna happen.
What school system?
West Side. We're at Loveland.
All right, I went to Loveland.
Is that right?
Kindergarten to 4th grade.
Class president, 87.
No way.
Westside High School.
No way.
We're supposed to do this. We never did this when we were in high school.
15 seconds.
I think we're exempted by our alumni status from having to do that. Because when we just said West Side, we didn't have to do this.
We'll love it.
Anyway, yeah.
Love
So,
it.
but I understand they're not the Loveland Cobras.
All right, here we go.
They're not. They're the Lynx.
We were the Loveland Cobras.
That's
my
old
God.
school.
Yeah, I know it. I'm still old school.
When the weather turns bad, turn to News Radio 1110 KFAB and the Pyramid Roofing Severe Weather Center and be ready.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals at your service, sitting next to my friend Trenton Magid. We are brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center. That is the place you want to go if you are unfortunately in an accident. Accidents equal bad. Dingman's equals good. Dingman's equals make your life better after something bad happens. I know. I've used them a few times. Trenton has used them a few times over the years. They have always done a great job for us for metro area locations. Well, we have with us Scott Dobbe. He is the executive director of Omaha by Design and architect by training, and now lending his services to making Omaha not only look better, but be better organized and structured and have a better vibe about its urban culture. And Scott, we are so excited to have you back on the show today. Welcome.
Well, it's great to be back.
Well, tell us a little bit about Omaha by Design. Give us the 30,000-foot overview.
Yeah, Omaha by Design, we're just a small team, headquartered in the Old Market, 5 of us, but we are thought of as the region's nonprofit hub for people-centered urban design and policy. It's like, we get this pleasure of getting to see how our city grows. And to us, it's really important. We really focus on the how. How we grow really matters just as much as how fast. And so our mission is to make sure that growth benefits, all the people who live, who work, and who build their lives here.
How do you weigh in and relate to working with the city?
Well, we like to work closely with all partners, and it's the city of Omaha, but it's also cities, municipalities across the region. I mean, we are a metro region, so.
Are you a department of this Omaha, the city?
Oh no, not at all.
You're
Completely
independent.
standalone, independent nonprofit.
Okay.
So Scott, on this show, we cover the entire 8-county metro area, but we spend a lot of time focusing on the urban core. Like I mentioned in the last segment, the success of the city the success of the metro area is determined by the core. So let's talk a little bit about the core. It's doing great. I mean, when you look at the amount of investment in the urban core, the activity, it's very exciting. There's so much more potential to come. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your assessment of the urban core right now, and then maybe we can get into what Omaha by Design is doing to make it even better.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Jeff. I mean, we care deeply about every corner of the metro, right? And every neighborhood needs to be great. But it's really important that the urban core is happening. It's kind of like the beating heart of the city. And if it's doing really well, the rest of the metro is going to do really well. I'll tell you, fortunately, thanks to a babysitter last night, wife and I were able to get out of the house and got downtown for dinner and friend's birthday party, and I have never seen, outside of like a special festival event or maybe College World Series, that many folks out and about. Something was in the air last night. The new riverfront parks were just packed, and it's wonderful to see that kind of vibrancy happening, and it really, really matters how we move it forward. You look at growth as a whole and where we kind of punch on the listing of other metros. And I loved how you started talking about, a new ranking about how it's showing Omaha being number 1 in housing growth. Okay, that means something. I know last week on the show, y'all talked about the 1 million mark, surpassing that. I mean, that's actually a big deal. It's more than just a statistic. It's like a statement that we are now one of the bigger cities in the center of the country.
In 1996, I went and visited a friend in Austin, Texas. So that was a while ago, but not forever ago. And I remember going to breakfast. He slept a little later than I did. So I got up and went to breakfast, and I was reading the local Austin newspaper, and there was a front page headline. It said, Austin area passes 1 million people. This was 1996. They're now over 2. So they've grown really, really fast. So we're kind of, in some ways, now Austin is a bigger tech center than almost anywhere else in the world. It's a state capital. The weather's a little warmer there. But to me, it feels like there's a lot of similarities between where Austin was that morning I had breakfast reading that newspaper and where it is today. And it just so happens that you and 8 of your colleagues were in Austin this week studying what's going on there.
Totally. Yeah. It is, I mean, really fortuitous as well. You know, you hear that Austin was number 2 on that little list you read. It was fascinating just to think when we went down there with this kind of cross-sector delegation earlier this week. It was amazing to see. I'd been before. I'd done some project work in Austin about 10 years ago. City has really transformed even in that time. And then before we went, we looked at some of the metrics. You know, where do we stack on all kind of the census data? And it was fascinating for me and I think all of us to see that it really wasn't that long ago, maybe just over 3 decades ago, that Omaha was actually a larger metro area than Austin. And now, though we've seen great growth, Austin has seen like exponential growth. You know, a city of 2.5 million people now, and you really feel it. Now, a lot of that is great because they got a lot of amenities, a lot of things happening. But as we went about, the reason we went down there was to learn from them. And the thing that we, heard again and again was that we wish we had planned earlier. We wish we had gotten ahead of some of the issues. And so there was a lot of good to learn from in being down there and speaking with folks and touring projects. But there was also kind of that cautionary, gosh, the transportation traffic down there is a mess. Affordable housing has become a real crisis down there. It's become very unaffordable. And they're saying, if we could tell ourselves 25 years ago what we should be doing, it's starting to proactively invest in those issues.
And that's why I think it's such a critical juncture in Omaha when it comes to planning. And I was at some charrettes and discussions about the Omaha's master plan. Mm-hmm. This was 1997. Mm-hmm. And now they're finally putting it back together and saying, okay, we're going to do some stuff. And what do you think is key elements of that, especially in the urban core?
Yeah, funny you should mention that because like right now, as you know, Trenton is ongoing a new effort to rewrite the city's comprehensive plan, which is the master plan that guides growth and development. It's the very same thing you participated in 1997. And that plan has served us well. Like we've grown well. We've had a lot of great things happen as a city. But obviously, like the world's a little different than it was in 1997. And so we at Omaha by Design are really proud to be partnered and kind of co-leading an effort with some other wonderful nonprofits and the city of Omaha to remake that. It's called We Make Omaha. It's going to be a multi-year effort. There's already a lot of public engagement happening, committees to be formed, thoughts put together, because like you say, we need to be thoughtful about the urban core and how do we gently densify in a way that is appropriate to what we want to see as Omaha. And that's why we're talking with residents about what do y'all want to see? What's your vision? And we're resoundingly hearing some of the same themes. So I believe some of those guiding principles that have come out of this community engagement are going to be soon formalized and shared.
So, Scott, you mentioned when you were talking about lessons learned in Austin to really prepare for transportation. Well, we have a very impactful transportation project that's just getting started. The modern streetcar that will connect downtown Omaha with midtown Omaha, ready to, in a very positive way, fundamentally change Omaha. Talk to us about the importance of that project as we continue to build this urban core that can be somewhat Austin-like, but without the problems of Austin.
Exactly. Yeah, we are unabashedly, advocates of the streetcar, and long have been, because we see its potential to be a lot more than just a transportation tool. It's really a neighborhood building tool. It's really unique. It's been studied a lot, and the manner in which this is being funded and built is learning from the best of cities that have gone before us, and also being very cautious to avoid some of the pitfalls that maybe they have run into. So these systems are in place and performing really well across the nation. And I'm excited to see, because it's already driving that kind of investment, and the early results are well ahead of projections. And that's great, because it's not just developers who are benefiting from this. It's the community. It's developers who are paying for it ultimately, but the community is getting these wonderful additions in terms of jobs and housing and opportunity and vibrancy and new business creation. It's really helping us grow up and kind of grow into our stature of a major metro.
And when we at Grow Omaha have studied it, and believe me, we have for several years, I have been very impressed with the not only the creativity, but the fiscal responsibility of the funding mechanism. A lot of these cities that build them, they just pay for themselves with taxes.
Yep.
Or they depend on federal grants, which is a colossal headache and can take decades to get. I think kudos to the local leadership, both political, well, not both, but political, neighborhood, community development, and even the businesses in the district for coming up with a way that allows us to build this without depending on the federal government and without depending on the taxpayers.
And it's free to ride.
And it'll be free to ride.
Free to ride.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. And all those things were deeply studied, and part of what put this together with, I think, a lot of great intelligence. It's gonna be great. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, me too. It's to think that we're getting within a few years of the thing actually being operational.
Well, and connecting to our earlier discussion as it related to learnings from Austin, for example, I think it's really important and often missed that the mechanism that kind of creates this and allows the streetcar to function, which is really novel and I think, again, really advantageous to us as just regular citizens of the city of Omaha, is that is based on what was called the Housing and Mobility Redevelopment Plan. And it's important that housing comes first there. So these are actually tied together in a way that when the streetcar surpasses expectations, which it is very well on track to do right now in terms of that TIF development it spins off, that the additional revenues coming to the city can actually be deployed for things like affordable housing and other mobility enhancing needs, going north and south, protected bicycle infrastructure, things of that nature. That's really novel and I think really forward thinking.
I'm glad you mentioned the affordable housing part. We got to take a break for the news here, but that doesn't get a lot of coverage because everyone's like, how are we going to pay for it? The streetcar has to come up. We have to have, in order to pay for the streetcar, we have to have a certain amount of development in about 15 years following its opening. We're already over halfway there. So it's
you see the apartments going up and down the tracks.
Yeah, it's like falling off a log. So that part we don't even have to worry about. That's a given. The exciting part is how much extra can it create? And a lot of people are not saying what you're saying. The plan is to apply that to affordable housing in the urban core long term, which will make even Omaha more vibrant. And we can have this growing city without having to build new freeways on the fringe or make more traffic for suburbanites when they're trying to go get milk at Hy-Vee. At any rate, we're going to take our middle of the show break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about urban core development with Scott Dobbe. He's the executive director of Omaha by Design. But in the meantime, you're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Cheer Athletics and Dingman's Collision Center on News Radio 1110 KFAB. Good work so far.
Yeah, very smooth.
Yeah,
understand
guys.
So yeah, we'll hit about how the streetcar can change urban Omaha, benefits for people outside of the core, and then maybe we can have that visionary thing, and then maybe kind of just talk about if we have time. What are the long-term possibilities for the core?
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of see it. I kind of see this situation, what we're doing right now. Omaha might have one of the most vibrant and economically prosperous urban cores for a city that's not, over 3 million people.
We absolutely have that chance. Yeah.
I mean, you look where, and we keep hearing all these rumors that can't say, but all these rumors about other things that are coming to downtown Omaha or might be coming downtown Omaha. My gosh, it could become like one of these places where people plan a vacation and don't really leave our downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the attractions that are on the maybe board for downtown.
What do you think of these lids?
And it tastes better.
And I think
possible.
I think the thing with that would be, will philanthropy get behind it to do
Right.
it? And I think they would. It's one of those big advantages. Like again, as we like tour cities and meet, and when I've gone to city conferences in New York or wherever, the thing that I think sets us apart is our philanthropic community.
100%.
We have investment. I mean, Austin was really frank. Like they don't have what we have. They can't tap that.
Nobody
like
has
Dallas
what we
has
have.
some of that, but they don't.
Because Austin doesn't have the old, long-established families that
No,
we
they
have.
don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, in Dallas,
they're all
it's
new
spread
wealth.
out.
It's new
Yeah.
money. Yeah.
What's interesting is the Durham family. Do you know Steve and Barb Durham?
I don't know 'em.
Great people,
Yeah.
but they moved to Dallas and
Yeah.
they put their name on parks and stuff. They've done plenty here. I mean, you see the Durham name in the zoo and other places, but the last generation. But yeah, you hate to lose people like that they go to the other cities. They remember Omaha pretty well, but it's neat. So
I think some of that is like showing the energy and showing the let's build this place, and let's also give you really exciting things to put your dollars to.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see that happen. There was a project on April 16th. ULI Nebraska is going to unveil a project we did, which is kind of based off the Urban Core Strategic Plan's Big Moves, and this is that spot where I-480 comes together with 75. We're calling it the Stitch, just south of stands Atlas building.
Where that okay. Oh,
It's
that north. Okay,
just
gotcha.
northeast of Midtown Crossing. And the idea is that
South of the old St. Joe Hospital.
Yeah.
the Nebraska Department of Transportation owns a lot of land there. It's like 20 plus acres that had been reserved because they were going to one time years ago ram a freeway west through Dundee.
That was going to happen in the
And
70s.
That never happened.
Remember that
Thank God.
they had a road to nowhere. Remember they just took
Yeah,
that down?
they did.
Remember that?
Yeah. We used to go to mass at St. Joe Hospital because my grandpa lived in 13th and 17th and B Street.
Oh, yeah.
So, and we lived west. So we would hit the 3:30 super short mass at St. Joe Hospital. No sermon. It was
Everybody knows those.
Yeah, it was only like 22 minutes, and then we'd just go down to Grandpa's house, and I can remember we'd always go off that ramp, and the ramp just dumped into the neighborhood. It was weird, and it was because of that was supposed to be.
So
I think
wild,
they were going
right?
to call it the West Freeway. Or
Yeah, I
something
think so.
like that. Yeah.
It's an interesting story. It's definitely a case study of like how things go. And
God, it didn't happen. I mean, I'm not a freeway hater.
No.
I like freeways.
No.
I mean, people in the
need
suburbs got to be able to get to the core fast.
Should we have had a?
But that
80
one would have been a critical error.
Should
to
we
take out all
Should
that.
we? I know there's an 880, but like something.
a second loop, a second
Second,
beltway.
second loop
The
out
280,
west.
the
Yeah.
280.
Maybe.
There's good and bad to that because it creates a lot of real estate development. Is good. For a while, it really helps alleviate traffic pressure, but it also makes it really easy to sprawl that development.
Have you studied the Platteview Road Expressway at all?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that's going to happen? I mean, not
yeah.
in our lifetimes.
I don't know.
But actually, that's
That's sold a lot of land
That's
out.
a freeway that I think is justified.
Because we sort of need it down there.
Yeah,
I think. And it creates a connection.
and you could take some pressure off
Yep,
I-80.
yep.
Like that one, what I would in my perfect world, if money was no object, it would be full blown freeway style. Get it an interstate designation like a 380 or a, because I think it'd be a spur.
Yep.
So it'd be like a 380, or it could be like a 329 or a 729, and go from Platteview Road and Interstate 80 all the way across, and then have all your semis that are passing through go down there.
Would be really pretty
Get those
amazing, right?
get those
them
semis
out.
off the core of Omaha.
Yeah.
Because my guess is 80% or more of those semis through
Yeah.
I-80 center of Omaha are not stopping.
Well,
in
it's the
Omaha.
difference of the feeling when you're coming into Omaha on 80 and you either split and go east onto 80, continue, or you go up to 680. Like
Yeah.
whenever you go onto 680, you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Now it's just like cars.
No semis. Yeah.
But if you stay there, it's because you understand how much throughput.
Because they
it's
take the
handling.
room of four.
They
They
do.
take up the equivalent of 4 cars, and
Yeah. You're totally right. You got to plan for that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways, you can look at like interstate development and like where you place an interchange becomes, you guys know real estate infinitely better than I do.
Yeah.
Those are public investments that then incent private development, right? You're going to want to locate, it's going to spur that. Well, in so many ways, that's what the streetcar is too.
Yeah.
And back to like,
It's just a different
I
kind of
won't say it's on the
freeway.
radio, but should we vote on it? It's like we don't vote on the placement of every interstate interchange,
Yeah.
but we spend hundreds of millions of dollars on them.
It's asinine.
We spent $400 million on the West Dodge Expressway.
No one voted for that.
No one voted for that. Now, it was a good thing. We needed it.
Yeah.
But
As
it was
evidenced by the
investment
fact
to help
that it's
drive
full.
that. So we got to have those balanced.
Yeah. Yeah, if we voted on everything, that would be called a direct democracy.
Yeah.
And it would actually require lazy Americans to actually pay attention.
Right.
And they would spend a big chunk of their day every day voting for things.
You know how
That's why
Ernest
we
Lee,
elect
you've heard the name Lee
Yeah,
Dingle?
yeah.
You know who he was? He had a Buick dealership in downtown to the south. But
15 seconds.
He was never married, but he was also an economist. He went to Vegas and learned where all the off ramps were going to be, and bought up land everywhere.
folks. Brilliant.
All right, here we go.
KFAB, the #1 preset on free. New and improved iHeartRadio app. Free never sounded so good. News Radio 1110 KFAB and iHeartRadio.
And welcome back to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and Cheer Athletics. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking for a great place for your kid or your grandkid or any kid that you care about to get involved and to have a positive, life-changing experience, look no further than Cheer Athletics. There are only 15 Cheer Athletics locations in the world, and I say world because they're even in England, but one of those 15 is in Omaha, right at Highways 50 and 370 in beautiful Papillion, Nebraska. And if you want to learn more about it, just go to caomaha.com, CA as in Cheer Athletics, caomaha.com. It's time for your Noddle Company's Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight of the Week. This is when we talk about activities in or near one of Noddle Company's many, many projects. And let me tell you, Noddle Companies has many, many projects, not just in Omaha, nationwide, but they're headquartered here. This is their hometown. This is the place that they love, and this is the place where they do a big portion of their projects. Builders District in North Downtown is an example. We talk about that a lot. And perhaps their best known Noddle Company's project is Exarban Village, right in the heart of the city where so much activity happens. And in today's Noddle Company's report, we talk about Exarban Village, and we are very happy to announce that Sonny's, the Airstream, what is it, kind of like bar, concession stand,
Yep.
takeout restaurant.
With a dog park next door.
It's so cool. Like, have you ever just like hung out in that area on a nice weather evening?
Oh, it's great. People are playing
Cornhole.
cornhole. They're dancing. There's usually a DJ or a band.
Sometimes in the fall, they've got like a little campfire thing going there. But Sonny's is opening for the season Friday, April 5th. That's less than a week away. So you're going to enjoy that. By the way, last week we talked to you about Oto, which is the new upscale cocktail bar, which is coming to Exarban Village. We've got a couple new details about that. It's going to be in the ground floor of the HDR building. That's the 10-story building where so many retailers are going to be located. There's another one coming to that area soon, Godega Market. This new Oto, it's not going to open until October because there's a lot of interior build out that has to happen, but it's going to be a high-end cocktail bar with this super advanced, high-fidelity, optimal sound experience. It's going to be really, really
You
cool.
get your groove on.
Trenton has a hell of a groove, and when he gets that groove on, it's like nothing you've ever seen. But it's going to be a 1,500 square foot space. It'll be immediately adjacent to south of the lobby that leads you up eventually into the HDR offices. And that is your Noddle Company's Commercial Real Estate Development Spotlight of the Week, brought to you by who? Well, not all companies, of course. We've got Scott Dobbe with us today, Executive Director of Omaha by Design, and we're just talking about the importance of the urban core and how even people that live in the farthest fringes of the metro area benefit when we've got a strong urban core. And Scott, we were talking about the streetcar and how it will make the core so much stronger, so much more vibrant, and lead to so many more opportunities for investors, businesses, and regular Omahans who are looking for entertainment and recreation. But let's talk a little bit about what exactly some of those changes will be. When we get the streetcar up and running, how will it change central Omaha as we know it?
It's a fun thing to think about. I think it starts, and you're starting to feel it already. There's a different expectation when you come downtown for what we are. It is not a place now that we come in the old-fashioned way from 8 to 5 and then leave and depart. It's what we're growing into is like an 18-hour, vibrant, really active core where we have a lot of rooftops, a lot of folks living. It's a place where tourists are really drawn to and could find, as we were talking offline, like a whole vacation downtown. We can conceivably see that now. We like to, as we travel, kind of share. I mean, we're always Omaha boosters about how great it is to get down here. We love even just a little staycation downtown. There is a lot happening in the urban core.
I think when the streetcar gets up and running, if you live anywhere near the streetcar, you could have a siesta. You could go to work early and then go home for lunch, take a little bit of a snoozer, refresh, and then, work late.
Trenton, I only take my siestas on Saturday and Sunday, but that said, I love them and I appreciate where you're going with it.
Yes.
Scott, the other thing that comes to mind with streetcars is something that is really the scourge of the central core of the city, and that is the surface parking lot. A lot of times people who just come down to downtown for dinner or bars, they think, oh gosh, it's great to have a lot of surface parking lots, and we don't want to get rid of those. Actually, they kind of ruin a downtown because they're so inefficient, and that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to at the streetcar. We can actually increase the number of parking stalls available while at the same time getting rid of surface parking lots that provide really no value whatsoever.
No kidding. Nobody likes looking for parking. And most of the time, those sit empty. Most of the time, those are not needed. And instead, we can replace them. Remember that they don't contribute much to the city in a lot of ways. Environmentally, they're really bad, but fiscally, they don't help us much. We'll need parking lots where we need parking lots, sure. And a lot of folks are still going to continue to drive. But as we see that behavior starting to shift, because look, there's this great free vehicle I can hop on, I can maybe park once and ride, or I can live downtown and ride. As that transforms into now something that is filled with ground floor retail, and there's shops and restaurants, and there's new businesses created there. Maybe there's housing, maybe there's offices above. Suddenly you have something which actually has much greater value than a bunch of asphalt, and it is then paying back in terms of taxes that'll benefit our schools and our parks and our city services that we need.
And so what you guys are alluding to is, say, places like Midtown Crossing, which the city will own those parking garages, and you could park at Midtown Crossing and then just jump on the streetcar and then go to the show, go to dinner, not have to worry about the guy or gal flagging you in for $20 or whatever, more affordable parking, free streetcar ride down to the Orpheum.
Yeah, absolutely. And Scott, one of the things I also want to, and we only have a couple minutes left, but sometimes there's a lot of misperceptions about the streetcar. A lot of people haven't studied it very carefully, and some of that is driven by what's going on politically right now. And that's normal. Politics is politics. People always use things for political reasons. But one of the questions we get at Grow Omaha is from someone maybe who lives in the city limits but is way out west. And they say, well, why do I care about this? It's not going to benefit me. I actually disagree with that, and I suspect you do too. How would you answer to that question when someone says, I don't live anywhere near downtown, but how is it going to benefit me?
Yeah, I think it's a reminder that we have a lot of options here in America and in this city where we want to live, how we want to do it. But we all work in it together. And so we're all investing. I mean, when we built the West Dodge Expressway, for instance, that was hundreds of millions of dollars of investment to help unlock things. Not everybody in the city uses that every day, but it was a wise investment, something we needed to do. In a similar way, this is going to unlock a lot of development. And for those who then are going to utilize it downtown, and I think by and large, you'll feel it. It's going to bring jobs to the core. It's going to bring vibrancy to the whole town. And when that happens, it really lifts us all. And that's why, we stay out of the politics of it, but I think you can admit that, big cities do big things. And we're in this moment where we've got an invitation, an opportunity to think bigger about how we approach housing and mobility and how we kind of support our growing population.
Well, it's exciting to think about, Scott, and we appreciate everything you and your colleagues are doing to keep the metro area strong, and certainly the core of Omaha. And in the future, we'll definitely talk again.
Appreciate you guys. I look forward to it.
Omaha by design, ladies and gentlemen.
Scott Dobbe, Executive Director. Going to take our final break of the hour, and when we come back, it'll be time for the Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round. We have a lot of things to talk about in a very short period of time. Stay with us. It'll be the grand finale. You're listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, Cheer Athletics, and Perkins Kreitzer Construction. Back in a moment. News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Perfect. Well played.
Covered everything.
All right,
Yeah,
thanks, guys.
We got to a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel free to link it or do it, whatever you want to do.
You know, I probably will. We work to kind of help.
He'll cut it down too, the video and
Yeah. We'll be sharing. I mean, we help this group, the Modern Streetcar Advocates.
Oh, yeah,
You've seen
yeah.
their stuff.
Yeah,
and
love their stuff,
Like,
yeah.
I'd love them to like share some of it out and such. So I'm going to ask if they can. And
who runs that?
we have a big hand in it. Yeah. So we're a fiscal sponsor of it.
Cool.
And
But
we
that
just,
goes
again,
back. Wasn't that one of the things like Jay London, those guys started?
Yeah, I mean,
years
as
ago?
a spearhead
Yeah,
and
yeah.
a visionary of it,
Yeah.
we're just kind of an administrative back end.
Uh-huh.
We do that for a number of initiatives and such, and it's our way of advocating without,
The Omaha way, baby.
we don't get into the
Yeah,
straight up politics of
Yeah.
it, but it's just, the point is like, let's be factual. Let's counter
Right.
things that are out there that are notions where folks are mistaken.
Yeah.
Our
would say we don't
it's
wanna
not
be
their
all
expertise
political.
all the time.
Yeah.
They don't follow it all the
They
time.
don't.
What I like about Omaha, and it's kind of like our industry as well, is we complement it. We're friendly competitors, and you also collaborators at
Well,
time. And you're a collaborator when it comes to all these different organizations.
We'll be out at
departments.
56:45.
And,
So yeah, about 5.
so
56:45 is hard.
That's how business
Hard.
is
That's when
done.
the
It
music
is.
will
Hard
start.
stop.
It's our
So
joy. I mean, like, we're
56,
working on. You guys hear all
15
these
is
rumors.
music.
Like a lot of
No,
those projects we
56:45
try to
will be
consult
music.
with
Oh,
too.
okay.
and
You'll have
trying to
Okay.
help those things
45 is music. That's
Where does your funding come from?
It is about
So you'll have about 5.5
philanthropic,
minutes.
and then
Okay.
about
That's perfect.
a quarter to a third corporate donations. We have about 40 corporate partners, architecture, engineering community.
Cool.
We'd love, NAIMP Dodge, to be on the list.
And I'll
put you
give
in
you
touch.
Yeah.
I'll give you the 1 minute and everything.
It's okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
Sure,
1
you know.
minute.
They do a lot with grant.
1 minute to
You guys
They give
talked
a
about
lot.
our
Thank
Laurels
you.
Awards. That's a fun
Yeah.
thing every
yeah,
year.
yeah.
I mean, maybe
Those
we
are
can
cool.
build more of a
Yeah.
partnership there.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like what you guys do.
All right,
It's like
Jeff, 10 seconds.
celebrating the great things that are happening.
Exactly.
Like folks doing them.
Yeah. Are you sticking around or heading out?
I'm happy to. I mean, either way. You want me to leave?
If you've got a little time, you
I'll
can
stick around, and I love just.
Yeah.
It's fun to
Here we
watch
go.
you guys do the magic you do.
It's something.
How the sausage is made.
Details and tickets at salarmyomaha.org.
It's the Perkins Kreitzer Construction Lightning Round, in which we talk about a lot of things you need to know super fast. Thanks to Perkins Kreitzer Construction for making this possible. We love what they're doing to the Omaha built environment, and that is building beautiful buildings on time and in a budget. And Perkins Kreitzer Construction is ably led by our good friend Dave Kreitzer. We talk to Dave a lot. He lets us know some of the things they're working on, and my gosh, it's very, very impressive. Dave has assembled a team of outstanding project managers, administrators, superintendents, carpenters, laborers, all of whom are dedicated to their craft, and many of whom have more than 30 years experience in the construction industry. If you're looking to build an office building, a church, a retail center, a community building, anywhere in eastern Nebraska or western Iowa, contact Perkins Kreitzer Construction. You can find them online at P-C Construction. That's P-C construction.com. Well, I've got some good news. A restaurant at 60th and Center, Primo's, has been temporarily closed for some time, but they are reopening on Monday, March 31st. And speaking of that, we've got a lot of restaurant news. Are you ready, Trenton?
Yes.
Start the clock. Here we go. La Traga Zona has opened next to Mexitli restaurant in the historic Keyline building downtown. The exact address is 1622 Harney Street. It's a locally owned cafe and bar. They specialize in sweet and savory crepes, but that's just one of the things. They also have like ice cream waffles, grilled ham and cheese,
Interesting name for that.
cheese sandwiches, milkshakes, and even alcoholic beverages. They're connected to Mexitli restaurant and I believe the same owners. A local food truck proprietor plans to open a brick and mortar location in Bennington. It's called Johnny Rico's Brooklyn Pizza. They've filed a building permit to tenant finish a bay in the retail building at 8001 North 157th Street. This is the same building that has Bennington Urgent Care, Hey J Cafe and Coffee, and Rock Valley Physical Therapy. So along 156th Street between Northwest Omaha and Bennington. And then we have Rebel Rise Bakery, a gluten-free bakery in La Vista. Will soon open a new location. They're going to replace their current store, which is at 107th and Virginia Plaza inside the M Salon Studios. In the meantime, while this transition is taking place, the business will operate via online ordering. Rebel Rise has only been in that existing space since December, very new place. And so they're basically moving up and getting a new La Vista location. Details to come. Okay, next we have Smoothie King. This reminds you, Trenton, of your years in New Orleans.
Absolutely. Smoothie King, it was a good product. I remember it got me through college. And we've had a few in Omaha. Where's the new one?
Well, the fifth one is going to be in a new multi-tenant commercial building under construction on the northeast corner of 180th and Maple.
Gotcha.
So the relatively new Costco is on the southeast corner. This Smoothie King will be on the northeast corner. There's also an Ortho, Nebraska building under construction there as well. Got a new food truck business called Shara Halal Eats. They're calling it the SHE or She Food Truck for short. Grand opening is today in the parking lot of Menards near 120th and Dodge. They eventually hope to have a brick and mortar location someday. In South O, Shealytown Market, which is a cool plant nursery and gift shop, is relocating. Easy for some people to say. Relocating from 35th and Center near Hanscom Park to 1716 South 10th and Little Italy, just a little bit south of Casio's Steakhouse. Downtown, we've got Block Fitness opening in the, it used to be the Schooler headquarters building. Block Fitness is going in there. May 6th is their opening date. And then we've got a couple closings, sad but true. Roxy Omaha, a retro bar concept from Iowa City, suddenly closed in the Capital District. Their sister bar, the Stuffed Olive Martini Bar, is remaining open next door.
I've heard good things about that.
And then Curry in a Hurry plans to close permanently tomorrow at 83rd and Maple. Looks like they're going to be replaced by a business called Flaming Bulls. Ooh. We'll find out what that is. But the music is playing, which means that we have to take our Flaming Bulls and go home for a week. But we hope you enjoy the weekend. I'm Jeff Beals.
And I'm Trenton Magid.
You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center, along with Chair Athletics and Perkins Kreitzer Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Guys, that's great.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.